Good day, viewers. Welcome back to Common Ground Humanism with David Oliverio, that is I, where we attempt to build bridges between people of different views. So I'm going to continue. This will be part two of my angry atheist stage journey into a more inclusionary, amiable, and diplomatic humanist, finding the commonalities of humanity with all people. So I'm dealing and presenting personal experiences, right? This is not dogma. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to think or what to think. This is simply my personal experiences and my journey, which has really benefited me and made me a happier person in every way possible. So the last experiences I shared with you were out there in the field with the signs, with the angry believers, and I was no better. I was angry and hateful right back. Now we're in the year 2019. A particular morning at Lady Bird Lake, the world-renowned walking trail and running trail in downtown Austin, with my atheist signs, my secular humanist, good without God signs, or what I call now those button-pushing signs, right? And that particular morning, I was out there alone, and as usual, the confrontations began with the believers very angry at me and yelling, and I being no better, yelling back and angry and in that attack mode against them. And I remember this morning turning away from the trail. And I came to this point, which I called my tipping point, or the straws that broke the camel's back, if you will, phrase, right? And that particular day started the journey where I am into now. And I'm actually thankful that it happened. Because after those confrontations that morning, back in 2019, at the trail in Austin, I turned away from the trail and I was broken. I was hurt. I didn't feel good. My internal moral compass was at that high alert stage, flashing. I felt miserable. I didn't feel happy. I wasn't benefiting other people and making a healthier society. And I was definitely not benefiting myself. I felt bad. As I turned away, now I guess I can blame my Italian roots for being a passionate guy. And I started tearing up and I started weeping. I put my head down. I didn't want people to see me crying. And I thought to myself, what am I doing? How am I helping other people? How am I helping myself? I feel bad. I don't feel good. And I took that experience with me a few weeks later when I took a team with me to the San Antonio Alamo at Alamo Plaza. Many of you have been there, I'm sure. It's a free speech zone, street preachers, humanists like myself out there, vendors, and so forth. I took the team with me, as we did once a month, with our signs. And I had the young men spread out with their signs throughout the area. And I remember a man and his wife approaching me. They're very evangelical Christians. And they started giving me the hate and the confrontation and you're going to hell type thing. But I was no better. I was in attack mode. I thought I benefited society by yelling back. I was just as hateful. And I remember him telling me that we are nothing alike. And that Jesus said, you're either for us or against us. You are against us. Now that hurt. And I remembered that experience I had a few weeks ago in Austin. And that same feeling arose within me. The internal moral compass flashing. The terrible, uneasy feeling I had inside. I wasn't happy. I felt terrible. And about an hour later, a young couple approached me. Two young couples. The two young men were both evangelical pastors, their wives, and their children. The whole thing started again, the confrontation, the hate. I was just as bad. They left. I felt terrible. And this moment changed my life forever because this was the tipping point for me. And my life transformation. Now, I know believers that are watching. I used to preach it from, I think, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17 through 19, right? The life transformation, if any man be in Christ type thing, right? You're a new creation. Well, we that are secular also have life transformation through our personal experiences. My life was transformed that day. After that confrontation with that young couple and with the two pastors and their wives and children, I walked away and I sat on the curb. I'm sorry. And I remember sitting on the curb and I put my head down, and here I'm thinking, what am I doing? How am I setting an example as the leader for the secular groups out here? For we who are humanists, I'm setting a terrible example. This is not love. And how am I showing that to believers that we can find common ground? I put my head down, I shook my head, and I started weeping. And I remember my assistant at that time, young man from Austin, came up to me. He asked me, David, are you okay? What's wrong? And I shared my experience with him. And I'll never forget this. I shook my head and I said, I can't do this anymore. This is not right. There's got to be a better way. And from that day on, I changed my whole technique. I continued going out to feed homeless people every Saturday morning, then go out with posters and signs. I changed all the literature, the signage, rather than the atheist signs, the secular humanism sign, good without God, what I would call the button-pushing signs. I just made a poster about love and to love is human. And I just started promoting the secular communities in Austin with literature. And I started taking pictures with believers. We took pictures and I posted them on my previous Facebook page about how to find common ground with people. I started just loving people more and more, and I've never been happier. I even changed my talks on my previous YouTube channel called The Preaching Humanist. You can see my countenance change. I was happier. I started talking about the similarities of all the religions, whether they're secular, philosophies, and all the theistic religions. We all promote pretty much the same thing, love and compassion and so forth. It was such a hard experiences that I went through, but such a beneficial time for me. And I can only hope that my experiences will help other people to experience the same thing. So thank you so much for watching. Remember, my friends, to be kind to all and have a wonderful day.